allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ginny, would you please take the roll? Austriaco? Here. Bessler? Here. Collins? Here. Coyle? Here. Lee?
Here.
Sullivan? Owen? Here. Okay, we're going to start tonight with just one outstanding parent. We're not here yet, so we'll wait on that. Let's go to communications. Okay, 1 second.
Yes,
Okay,
just arrived.
welcome, welcome. Give them a chance to. Okay, we're going to start with an outstanding parent award from Maine West. Audrey?
Yes. It is my honor to introduce to you Renal Patel and his parents. Renal just graduated a month ago, an amazing young man from Maine West, did incredible things for us. But he attributes much of that success to his parents. So because Renal wrote the letter, I thought maybe he should read it. Is that okay with you? I'm putting you on the spot. Are you all right with that?
Actually, she won't be able to read it without crying. That's
That's
Don't let her fool you.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
This way she can just cry without having
I
to
would just cry and not have to, yeah.
Right here.
Yes, so stand up and first introduce your parents. Tell us who you are introducing.
So this is Opish and Nita Patel, my parents. Should I sit down?
Whatever you're comfortable with.
That's fine.
So I grew up the child of immigrants who worked incredibly hard to get where they are now. My parents immigrated here from India, got whatever job they could and worked their way up. My mother came to the U.S. with her sister and parents in order to pursue a better life. In school, she was fascinated by chemistry and had a knack for helping others, so she decided to pursue pharmacy. Upon moving here, my mother began classes at our local community college. Her sister began high school, and her parents worked. They had little but the opportunity to work their way up. Soon after beginning school, her father became fatally sick. Once he passed, my mother and her family were left with thousands of dollars in medical debt, 2 daughters still in school, and a now single mother who could not afford to keep a roof over their heads. So, my mother, in spite of the dream she held, dropped out and began to work. My mother worked incredibly long hours doing menial work for little pay. She worked at the gas station, a fast food restaurant, a pharmacy. My mother, even after she met my father and got married, had no privilege or choice. She had to pick an alternative career in order to get by. But that didn't mean she gave up. She worked her tail off, rising from lowly cashier to eventually becoming the senior audit analyst on her team at Walgreens. Even though the odds were stacked against her, she worked until she was finally able to reach success. She gave away the opportunity to pursue her passion when she followed opportunity by moving here. My mother and my father both sacrificed their life goals to give my sister and I the opportunity to fulfill our own life goals. My father came to the United States after marrying my mother, and he held a bachelor's degree back in India, but here in the U.S., he had nothing. My father began working full-time at District 63 and part-time at Oakland Community College. For the majority of my childhood, I never got to see my father Monday to Thursday, and he never got to see us. My parents' lives were fundamentally altered because they chose to make a sacrifice and set their children up for a better life. If there is one trait my parents possess that I hope to emulate, it is that intrinsic desire to make a positive change, to keep one's head above water, to never give up, and to continue to fight. And that's why my parents are outstanding. They're outstanding because despite the odds, they worked harder than anyone. They're outstanding because even while they worked long hours, they still took the time to keep up with my sister and I. They're outstanding because they are so deeply invested in their children's success. From a young age, I've been taught to learn all I can, to study and work hard, and to always value my education. Time and time again, my parents have said, all we want you to do is to focus on your education. And that's what I've done. I've done my best to follow their guidance and expand my education. My accomplishments are their accomplishments because without them encouraging me, I couldn't have accomplished anything. My parents are the foundation of my success, and that's what makes them truly outstanding.
And Renal, what do you plan on doing next year, or in the fall?
I will be attending Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa, where I'll be pursuing a degree in politics and economics with a minor in Spanish.
We have an award for you tonight, for your parents. This is a dual parent award tonight. Plural parents.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Why don't you just get a picture real quick?
We'll let them take their
You
picture.
saved Dr. Howard from crying.
I did. I still
Right,
don't.
early. Yeah, get the lens hit off.
Everybody, just one, okay? Couple more. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Okay. And you are welcome to, at this point, if you don't want to stay for the balance of our meeting, please don't, we will not be offended. Congratulations. Thank you so much. We're going to move along to public comments. Are there any cards over there? Update from the superintendent?
Okay, a couple of, several really exciting things that happened since we were together in June. On June 19th, we launched the Chicago Coaching Center, which is dedicated to advancing instructional coaching, not only in Chicago, but hopefully in the nation. We sold out this first year. We have a waiting list, and we've already started planning for training again in September. So the training itself went, I think, probably as well or better than it could have gone, even in the midst of logistical issues where we had to change locations and everything else. And the reason for that is that the training is built on the foundation of what we've done in District 207. I was actually talking to a couple of Rising South seniors the other day, and it dawned on me that our seniors this year in District 207 are going to be able to say something in college that I think none of their other classmates, regardless of where they go to school, will be able to say. Our seniors this year will be the first class of students who will have gone through a high school where every teacher every year is having an instructional coaching plan. That's kind of a cool thing. And the coaching plans are really premised on one thing. If you get better at teaching, you get better at creating student learning. So the coaching center for us is an opportunity for us to continue to grow teacher leadership in the district, give more pathways for every teacher to lead. When I think about learning, I think about adult learning in the same way that I think about student learning, and that's just one. When people are in charge of their own learning, they need to learn when they learn best. And so we really have thought strategically about how to create a lot of lanes for teachers to lead, and we're excited about where we will go. The Chicago Coaching Center will enhance that. At the end of that week, we hosted, in partnership with Northwestern, several of the universities, Illinois ASCD, we hosted a symposium called iLearn, dedicated to action research. Again, we were doing reports out. Action research is one of the strands of instructional coaching. So a teacher or groups of teachers, for example, can study problems of practice. We just finished our 6th cohort of teachers going through there. And so that was a symposium dedicated to the advancement of action research. We would like to be in this district to teaching and learning what teaching hospitals are to medicine, and we really aspire to be that. So in order to get there, you've got to really invest heavily in adult learning. So it was a terrific day. The reports that our teachers do would marvel anything done anywhere in the country. Studying, there have been about 100 teachers go through this. It's one of the choice program paths in our coaching plan. So we're really trying to advance teaching and learning by enhancing the study of teaching and learning. No one really does that. As we were getting together with several local school districts, some universities, and saying, who's going to report out, it turned out that the only ones that had something significant to report were our teachers, because we actually have ongoing action research. The following Monday, after the Coaching Center launched, and we hosted the Right Question Institute, which is, I think, the 4th or 5th year that we've hosted it. So we put a lot of emphasis on a pivot from transmission learning, which is the teacher holding all the knowledge and doing all the talking, and honoring student questions. Again, it's a learning construct. If the learner is leading the learning, that is the best learning that occurs. It's a neuroscience construct. So we really had a lot of good things going this summer. There's a belief sometimes that nothing goes on in the summer, and actually some of the really cool stuff goes on in the summer. And we're really privileged here, honored here, that so many of our teachers continue to really lean in, and we've got a teacher right now at a national conference getting a RAMP certification award from Maine West. Shagun is there, so I just tweeted him out here a little bit ago. But a lot of good things going on, and so I'm very, very proud of where we are, and really, really excited for where we're going in the future, because I think as good as we are right now, we have a lot of gears we haven't hit. So we're really excited to see where we can go.
Any questions on any of them? Thank you, Ken. I know I follow you on Twitter, if anyone doesn't, there's a lot of information that actually gets conveyed through Twitter, so I was following all of that as it was kind of live.
Live tweet.
Okay, updates from board members. Do you have any updates? I know I've asked Terry to do a little bit of an update on the CAP, but is there anyone else before that? Okay, Terry.
Okay, thank you. As most of you know, MCAP is a independent 501c3 nonprofit organization which is dedicated to the prevention of adolescent drug and alcohol use, as well as the promotion of positive mental health for all teens in Maine Township. Our goals have been a little bit more formed over the past 4 years since I've been there, and so I decided that I was going to give a little update and bet you didn't know style, because I bet you didn't know that all this stuff was happening with MCAP. So I'm going to, one of the things that we do too is that our whole motto is, instead of the just say no to drugs, so like the 80s, we know that that didn't work. So now we say just say no, K-N-O-W. And it's really to know about drugs, to know what's going on, and to focus on education. That's a big deal, and that's one of our biggest things. One of the new things we do is we offer a 6-hour drug and alcohol education class for first-time offenders, teens in Maine Township, and their parents on Saturdays. We emphasize brain science and goal setting and using evidence-based techniques. And we've had approximately 40 teens take our class through referrals from the Park Ridge Police, the Niles Police, and through the school. And we also have offered virtually free tuition for free and reduced lunch students. The other thing, we host monthly lectures and meetings at Maine South, and one at Maine South for all of our parents in District 207. And we've had a lot of different topics. Like this year, we had ranging from vaping to what do you do if you don't like your kid's friends, to the role of virtual reality in treatment of addiction. And one thing I want to point out is that our office is here at Maine South, but all of our services are for Maine East, Maine West, and Maine South. And that's a really big deal. We also will talk with Resurrection or Notre Dame kids too. Whoever is in a resident in our area, we're free to talk to. So it's definitely for all three schools, even though our office is here. The other big thing that we do is we hold a town hall meeting every year. And this year we had over 40 students present on a variety of different drug and alcohol topics. And we had Senator Laura Murphy, we had Senator John Mulrow, we had Representative Mike McCullough, we had representatives from Brad Schneider, Tammy Duckworth, and Lisa Madigan's office. And we presented new legislation, proposals for new legislation, as well as we advocated for against the legalization of recreational marijuana. We don't think that that's in the best interest of our teens. We were also chosen as a clinical site for Loyola University School of Nursing Community Health course. We've had 32 nursing students come through MCAP in the last 18 months. We've had interns from Northeastern Illinois University as well as Knox College, and this summer we have 4 Maine South students working with us as interns. For the last 2 years we worked with Lyceum students from Maine East on a variety of projects. The other thing that we are is a resource for all District 207 and Maine Township parents. Many parents call us because they don't know where to go. They see an Instagram shot of their kid in a cloud of vape smoke. They see a text message that says, hey, you know, I want to get high using, you know, Xanax, where can I get some? They have no idea where to go and don't know how to navigate the system. That's where we I take calls, at least 4 calls a week that are hours long sometimes, in helping these parents call, because when they call, they're wrecked, they're, you know, crying, it's usually the first time they've heard about it, so that's a big deal. And so we do help them navigate it. We also do community education and service in Main Township area, and we work with teens on community service and leadership. We're doing a Books for the Prison collection for Logan Correctional Center in Lincoln, Illinois, and we've collected over 5,000 books for them to date. We do a backpack for the homeless in December, and we usually do anywhere from 50 to 100 backpacks for the homeless who live in those woods right across the street. That's a big deal, because we work with the Salvation Army, and it's heart-wrenching to know that we have people across the street. So they go to local places. We work with community partners on drug and alcohol education. We did several discussions on opioids this year. We did one at the Des Plaines Library, and then we did a huge panel on vaping for District 64. We had over 100 parents attend that. We offer programs like Text a Tip or Nixle, where you can put anonymously tip somebody. Say you know a kid who's selling drugs behind your garage. You can text the police and they'll know it anonymously, and we help sponsor that. The other thing we do is we help sponsor events like Teens at the Taste of Park Ridge to give teens a place to hang out, substance-free. This weekend at the Taste, we're hosting 2 nights at the Taste with a DJ and inflatables for kids on the library lawn and in Hodges Park. And that's available for middle school through high school. We help sponsor YES, the Youth Empowerment Seminar at Maine West. We, with the Des Plaines Youth Commission, and we also participate in the Maine West Swamp Fair. We go to all the national night outs at Niles, Park Ridge, Des Plaines, as well as Maine Township. And we're out at health fairs and community events every single week. One thing that is probably the biggest thing on my mind is that McCap is entirely self-funded at this point due to the lack of state and federal funding. We had a big federal grant which we ran its course. We did the 10 years, and now we're not eligible to reapply for it. And the state funding is pretty much non-existent. So anyway, we work very, very hard at fundraising for this. And to that point, we have a benefit on September 21st, 2017, which is our largest event. And I encourage you all to come. It'll be fun.
You guys are 501c3 as well.
Yeah, we're a 501c3. We'll write tax donation letters for everybody who, so if anyone ever has any questions, or I just gave a snapshot, please feel free to come back. Our offices are straight down this hall, and we're always welcome. I'm here every day.
Very quickly, you know anything about a war? What's the update status for Senator Stains's illegalization of the marijuana status?
So the bill has been written, and there is a huge push to legalize recreational marijuana in the state because of the revenue that it can produce. However, there are a lot of consequences that are coming out of Colorado's that really we need to think about before we ever legalize recreational marijuana. There are lots of things like increased adolescent presence in emergency room visits because of the high potency of marijuana, a lot of increased drug driving by teens. So there's a lot of teen repercussions from this legalization that we really need to push our legislators to think about.
Terry, to that point, because that's an issue that would come up at your meetings there, do you have meetings when are you in the
Oh, we have a meeting from, in the school year, from August until May, the 4th Thursday of the month, except for November and December.
Thank you very much, Terry.
Sure.
Okay, we're going to move along to the Finance Committee update.
The finance committee met, except we didn't have a quorum, so we didn't actually hold the meeting, but on the agenda was lacrosse, which is on tonight's agenda, the workers' compensation renewal, which is on tonight's agenda as information, and the PE towel bid, which we are holding and bringing in August because we're investigating whether or not this is something we can do cheaper in-house.
And there's, the finance committee is now gonna meet.
We are gonna meet every Wednesday and have a standing committee, and that way, if there's nothing to discuss, it's easier to cancel.
Every Wednesday?
Every third Wednesday.
Every
I'm sorry, Wednesday, scared me now until.
Now we tell you.
Yeah.
See, it sounds so much better when, after that mistake.
And then,
What time?
5 o'clock.
Thank you.
And then building and grounds would be immediately following. That way, everyone has a set time if we have to cancel, because there's no items to discuss. It's easier than trying to coordinate everyone's.
And it'll be noticed up as it normally is, it's just that it is set. Okay. And we'll get to the other issues under your report. Okay, buildings and grounds. Jim,
Yes.
report?
Our buildings and ground had a quorum and did meet at June 14, committee meeting. And we'll discuss about summer project updates and facility master plan updates. For the summer project updates, Director of Building and Ground, we did get a brief update to the committee on the summer work being done at the various buildings. South work includes asbestos abatement and preparation of boiler installation and HVAC. And additionally, the roofing is being replaced above the auditorium. Paving of parking lots is nearly completed, and an added security system has been also completed. Remaining work should be completed by hopefully August 10. Main West work is in progress with the asbestos abatement completed and new boiler work is underway. And other work include paving, roofing, and auditorium, gymnasium floor replenishing, elevator improvements, E-wing restaurant remodeling, all of which are progressing on schedule. The new security system is completed. Main East is in process of replacing the HVAC in the West Wing and network rooms, and is scheduled to be completed by August 1st. And Forest Academy and the Administration Center is in process of replacing the HVAC system, and asbestos abatement is completed. The HVAC is scheduled to be completed by August 1st. A refuse enclosure has been also installed. And for the facility master plan updates, we have a wide architects will be working on for this project. The facility master plan core team visited New Trail High School and Stevenson High School to view their cafeterias, common spaces, and specialized classroom to get ideas on redesigning space in our District 207. And the highest raised space area for looked were the auditoriums and libraries, and the lowest rated were the cafeterias, bathrooms, and locker rooms. And while we will prepare a proposal for 3 of our schools, cafeterias renovation will be scheduled for summer of 2018. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So what do you mean by the highest rated and the lowest rated?
So we did both teacher and student surveys, and as part of the surveys, they asked they gave a list of 12 to 15 different spaces in the building, and they said rate the spaces between 1 to 5, with 5 being the best space that there is in the building, in both the auditoriums and the libraries scored the highest on that.
At all schools?
At all 3 schools.
Okay.
And at all 3 schools, coincidentally, the dining area, the cafeteria, as well as the PE and athletic locker rooms scored the lowest.
And let's see, on one time I did personally visit Stevenson High School. I was very impressed with their layout and so on.
Are both the schools that you visited newly renovated or?
So they were newly renovated, and we, since this meeting, also went and saw 2 other schools that were similar in size to ours. So one thing we know is New Trier's space is brand new construction. Stevenson's was renovated. You know, so we saw 2 different types on how they address the issues, and then we went to Addison Trails and Naperville Central and saw schools similar to, in size to us in their use of space. Part of that, part of Addison Trails was new construction, part of it was an existing renovation, and Naperville's was the same mix as well.
Okay, thank you again. Let's move on to monthly status of finances. Mary?
In your board packet is the May financial statement. The state's running tab through May is $1.8 million owed. Still, the big question is, we've gotten 2 payments from them. Will we get a third in August, or will we not? If you look at the revenues, they're very much in line with previous years. The debt service and working cash again reflect the bond issue that we did with the partial refunding, so those are why they're a little bit out of line. And if you look at the expenditures in the ed fund, they're consistent with prior years, but in June, we run all the summer 10-month employee payrolls. So that's why you'll see a large expenditure in June, because we have about 2.5 months worth of payrolls actually hit the June expenditures. I will entertain any questions anybody has on the financial report.
So now that Illinois has a budget, balanced budget, how does that affect?
So what does that mean? So there's 2 components. So what the budget will do is it'll allow the state to give the Illinois School State Board of Education an allocation for categoricals. So categoricals are what we just said are behind. They're 6 months behind, so hopefully we'll get our categorical allocations this summer, and they'll start doing those quarterly payments. The other chunk of money is something called general state aid. In the budget language, they said the general state aid could be distributed, but it needed a new funding formula in order to be distributed. The funding formula is sitting in Senate Bill 1. Senate Bill 1 is currently being held before it's being submitted to the governor, because the governor has stated that he is likely to veto that bill because of the funding for Chicago. It's my personal belief that somehow they're going to have to get their act together before August, because in August is when general state aid payments start. And there are a significant number of school districts that operate on general state aid. So without that funding being available to them, they will not be able to open their doors for school. So I think that they'll somehow get it resolved, whether it will be Senate Bill 1 or whether it will be some other formula. I don't know. One of the issues is that Senate Bill 1 has a formula, and to actually rewrite another formula in a month is probably not going to happen. They could also then pass legislation to change the budget and say general state aid will actually be distributed in a different way. So that's another option. So it's still a kind of a wait and see. It is better news. My personal hope is that the state can kind of catch up on what it owes. I think, from an employer perspective, we'll certainly be going back and explaining to our employees, some of which, because their summer payrolls are done, won't see the tax increase go into their paycheck until their August 31st check. Others will see it as soon as we can load the new tax tables. I doubt that will happen in the next day, as they have to be built, but certainly by the July 30th paycheck, we'll be taking the higher tax amount out of people's paychecks.
But whatever they do decide to do as far as the formula goes, you should know that hopefully in August.
We should
So that
hopefully
we
know
can
that.
plan
The plan for the
for the
budget.
budget.
But we've always said that if the state does something, if the state doesn't get their act together, we've made assumptions in the budget, and we'll explain the variance between what we budgeted and what the state did if it's still an unknown.
So the Senate Bill 1, obviously they're waiting on the new funding formula, but if I I heard it correctly, is going to be evidence-based.
Yeah.
So the way it's going to be funded is going to be a little bit more different than what it has currently been. So the ones who have more of the, underserved population will get a lot more, and the more affluent will obviously get much less because they have more funding. So whatever funding formula will definitely affect us, right? The district.
Well, if that
necessarily-
formula is followed, the equitable formula then would negatively impact
Right.
the amount of money that we get.
Yes.
So the concept that's written now is a concept of full harmless, and in fact, the two authors of the equitable funding form are actually several of the advocate board with me. And ISA and others are sort of taking ownership of that, but the two main authors, one is the University of Chicago employee, and one is a board member out of American. From the very beginning, one of the key concepts for District like 207, which is very property tax reliant, was that we have some semblance of a hold harmless. So we probably will definitely not be advantaged moving forward. What you want to try to do is mitigate, the loss to the district. And this has been here's the good news. We've known that some iteration of this was going to come at some point. We've known it for 5 or 6 years. So we've been planning accordingly, knowing that in any model that emerged, District 207 is not going to be a winner in the new funding formula. So we've tried to model for that. What's happened, though, is a couple of other variables have been added into the mix as potentials that make the degree of difficulty go a little bit.
But we should know one way or another for planning purposes.
We should know more for the final budget. So with most years, we make adjustments during the summer between the tentative and the final for things from the state that become more crystal clear, or a little less money.
And we're adopting a tentative, or it's up for vote tonight, the tentative, so, but that can adjust, so.
Correct. Also, as part of the financial update is the renewal for workers' compensation. We belong to a pool for workers' compensation, SCRIM. In here is the detailed renewal information. Our allocation actually decreased by about 4%, and that's because we raised our district self-funded insured retention from $150,000 to $200,000. And that is something that SCRIP has been recommending, and the actuaries have been recommending for a few years. Based on our claims history, I was hesitant to do it. Now we've had some more stabilization with our claims, so we made the decision to go and move that self-funding level up. Above 250, SCRIP has a layer up to $500,000, and then we have third-party insurance for above $500,000. So I will entertain any questions that anybody has on the workers' comp renewal as well.
Thank you, Mary, as usual, great work. Okay, we'll move along to instructional services. Sean?
Yeah, so in your packet, you'll see the one line that says annual review of instructional service reports. That is usually a very large document, and so we're opting to, I will send you a PDF link to that document so that you can take a look at that. President Owen had a good idea, though, to produce a printed version of that she would request, and also one for Member Austriaco and Coyle, since they've never seen these reports before. So we'll produce those for you and send those directly to you. And if any other member wants an actual paper copy, we'd be happy to make one. But to cut down the size of the board book, we decided to opt for that. That way, the distribution.
Sean, I would love a paper copy.
Okay, absolutely.
So this is a legacy report. When I got here in 2005, this was, what this really is a compilation of all the reports that you get from month to month. So the ACT report previously, the future of the SAT report, AP report, all those kind of reports. Where we report in the aggregate, we have subgroup reports in there for every student group. So all of our ELL learners, special education learners, any students that would be listed as a subgroup for accountability purposes, we use these reports. This is a compilation report.
No new information, but a compilation of everything you've seen, but just in one place.
And we generally do front it with like an executive summary, so it's sort of the aggregate take on.
You still have an executive summary? Okay. It's it's a document I just think is really important, you know. We have seen it, but I always like to keep it and, yeah, because it's sort of a summary of how we're doing. Okay, moving along, thank you, Sean. Monthly update on FOIA requests.
Before I do the monthly update for requests, I realized I'm remiss, something's different tonight. And so the composition of the table is a little bit different tonight. And it just dawned on me that we just went right on with the meeting and didn't acknowledge it.
Well,
But,
it's seamless, it's a
seamless transition.
Yes.
So our dear friend, Dr. Barbara Varga, started her first week this week in Carmel, California, as the new superintendent there. And she's been tweeting out pictures of her strolls on Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
It's a rough
Really kind
gig.
of annoying.
But you know, it's helped us get to the place where we are, and we wish her nothing but the very best. But, you know, the butterfly effect is that we've had some movement. And so to replace her, we hired Mr. Messmer to become the assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction. Sean's been with us beginning his eighth year now and has done a really, really nice job here at Maine South. You know, we hired him initially. One of the things he said in his very first interview on Skype with us many years ago from Pennsylvania was he talked about customer service, and that really, really resonated with me. And then, you know, he hasn't just talked about it, he's really lived it here in District 207 and particularly at Maine South as the principal. So I think he's going to certainly continue that ethos as he moves into this new position. Replacing him is young Jedi warrior over here. Just got his driver's license last week. And Ben was part of our initial class of assistant principals for teaching and learning at Maine West High School. Really, he came on at the time, you know, I mentioned that this year's seniors are the first group who will have been taught by teachers who have been coached all 4 years of the high school. Well, Ben came in the year that we really began coaching, and it was an intentional design to try to intersect at the place where we coach teachers in a really safe environment just for nothing more than to get them better, and how we interview them, and the APTLs really worked at that intersection point. And I think in the last 3 years, the team of APTLs, and Ben's been a key part of that team, has helped us go further faster in those 3 years than we've ever gone. He was easily the unanimous choice to lead Maine South into the future. He's stepping in a really, really good time. Again, a lot of credit to Sean and his team. South actually is projected this year to be our first school above a 3.0 challenge index. Right now, their projection's about 3.2. We set a goal to get there by 2020, so South's going to get there about 2 years early. And again, that's a lot of credit to South, but when Ben gets there, we'll start talking about what his forward look like. And so I feel very, very good about both of the moves that we've got here with our team, and their known quantities and work well with us. And so the one thing that we won't stop doing here is trying to figure out what better looks like. And so these guys are all about that, and as is our whole team. So we'll continue to march toward better. FOIA update, we have 2 requests this month, and they've either been processed or are being processed.
Okay, could I have a motion on the consent agenda, skipping 7A, we'll go 7B through, sorry, I'm trying to see. F.
I move that to approve items 7B through F.
Second.
Okay, please take the roll.
Bessler. Austriaco. Collins. Coyle. Lee. Owen.
Aye. Okay, now item 7A, the minutes from the June 5th meeting, and a motion. Thank you. Jenny, would you take the roll?
Lee. Coyle. Collins. Bessler. Austriaco. Owen.
Aye. Jen, you wanted to, yeah, and I think that one.
I was thinking about item number 19, but.
Yeah, that's also, but did you, I'm just saying if you wanted
Right,
to.
because I was going to do that, but you know what, then, because I wasn't there on June 5th, so let me abstain.
Okay.
Very cool.
Okay, moving along to second reading on, can I have a motion on item 8, Board of Ed policies and procedures, second reading? And a second?
Second.
Is that A through C? It's A through C. Greg, do you want to briefly, I mean, this is the second time.
Yeah,
Has
I mean,
anyone raised any questions with you
All
or
three of these
anything?
policies have gone through the various committees, whether it be the policy committee, the finance committee, or excuse me, the education committee. With the exception of the first two, that there isn't really a press policy out there covering those topics. The last one on guidelines for medication administration, that has been updated to be in line with the current recommended policy from the Illinois Association of School Boards, and it just adds some new language in terms of opioid antagonists, which is a good thing to help serve our students.
Okay, and you didn't have any other comments from board members or anything?
Nobody contacted me.
Okay. All right. Any questions at this point on any of those? Okay. Jenny, if you take the roll, items 8A through C.
Bessler. Lee.
Aye.
Collins. Austriaco. Coyle. Owen.
Aye. Okay, can I have a motion on item 9, approval of tentative budget?
Second.
Do we need to formally read the recommendation?
Yeah.
on this? Would you do that?
Yeah.
It's item 9.
I move that the Board of Education approves the tentative budget for the 2017-2018 fiscal year as presented with total revenues and other financing sources of $150,395,644, and total expenditures and other financing uses of $157,960,500.
Now, do a second.
Second.
Okay. Mary?
Okay, first, I want to point out the timing difference, so that.
Glad you did, because I was
If you recall, we issued bonds last year to pay for the boilers. Well, this year, we're installing the boilers, so we got the money last